And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. You're tuned in to Tapped Out. Hosted by Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine. Only on the BetQL Network.
Good Saturday evening, wherever you're checking us out on the BetQL Network. We're on our way to the main event, UFC Fight Night. Friend of the show, Marlon Chito Vera. Right now, you can get underdog money plus 135. Taking on Corey Sandhagen, he of the Flying Knee, at minus 165. Brendan Tobin, Sports Machine, Sean Levine. And right now, let's welcome on Alex Behunin from MMA Mania. And Alex, we were just actually talking about last Saturday night's fight. Usman goes down to Leon Edwards again. Two-parter. One, did they get it right in your eyes? And two, how long does Leon have the belt? Because it feels like there's a lot of guys coming after him right away.
Yeah, so I had that fight scored. I thought Leon won 4 of the 5 rounds. If they had scored it a draw, I would not have cried wolf. It was totally fine with me, man. As for how long is he gonna hold that belt, man, I think he beats a lot of people in that division. It's just like the new breed, like Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think that guy's going to be champion as soon as he challenges for the belt. But I think Colby Covington is a very tough matchup for him, and I would not be surprised if he is the champion when they fight. But I don't know, man. Leon really surprised me, surprised a lot of people, and I think when he said after UFC 278 that the elevation really played a part in his performance, I think he wasn't lying, man, because he looked phenomenal last weekend.
He did, for sure. But Alex, what do you make of them going with the decision, of Colby Covington's number 1 contender? Dana always says, I don't make fights, the night after a championship. And then all of a sudden we're just like, Colby's the number 1 contender. I get it. He was the backup fighter.
That's his homeboy.
But nobody seems happy about this. I mean, Leon's very clearly wants to get the Masvidal fight. I mean, he's rooting like hell for Masvidal in a couple weeks in Miami. So you have that possibility of a high draw fight. Gilbert obviously having, an argument. Bilal Muhammad sitting here raising his hand. So what do you make of the decision just to slide Colby right in there, kind of just sitting on the sidelines and getting a title shot? Are you cool with that, or would you like them to go in another direction?
I have a lot of thoughts on this, actually, man. So I think in a perfect world, honestly, I would have went if Masvidal beats Burns on April 8th. I would give Masvidal the top shot only because of the storyline between Edwards and Masvidal. I would love to see Leon get his revenge for the 3-piece and a soda, altercation. But Bilal he is pretty deserving, but I think people are crying too much because did we forget that Tony Ferguson went on like a 10-fight win streak before he got a title shot? So the UFC is notorious for not giving people who deserve title shots, man. It's unfortunately it is the biggest fight promotion in the world, but it's also a entertainment business, and there's no doubt that Colby Covington is way more entertaining outside of the octagon, maybe even inside than Bilal Muhammad. So I don't know, man. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, even though I would, if Jorge wins next in 2 weeks, I would give it to him. But to answer your question, I'm okay with the Colby Covington title shot, whatever.
I get you. I think the thing I just found weird about it is, to a guy who's usually pretty calculated about, hey, I got the next idea. He had the next idea when it seems like you said there is a much more lucrative fight that could occur in 2 weeks. Now, I get it. Colby's got the win over Jorge. So at that point, he could definitely raise his hand and say, well, I, shut out Jorge Masvidal. I get you. But it's just, it was such a strange one to me, because it's not like, I don't feel like Colby Covington's a guaranteed monster pay-per-view for anybody, especially with Leon. They don't have a lot of personal heat.
No, but he could fight George again. Like the way that you're setting it up, ultimately, if you think about it, right? Like if Colby was to win that fight, and if George was to win his fight, I don't know if legally like what's going on exactly there, Alex, but it feels like that would be the dream matchup if they could. Not that that's the best matchup or the most deserving, but that's the one the UFC would love to have their eyeballs on. I want your thoughts though. What if Leon does get in the octagon with Masvidal? Because that guy down there, Brendan Tobin in Miami, that's joining us. I mean, he's the biggest Masvidal hunk you're ever going to meet, so you can't get any real thoughts on him. Here's what I think: Masvidal would get his ass kicked by Leon. He'd get knocked out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of there with you, man. Leon, I don't know what to think of George right now, man. He's obviously in a slump, but he's lost to Usman twice. He lost to Covington. You know what I'm saying? Like those are his last three losses. I mean, those aren't bad. Those aren't bad losses to have, in my opinion. But to answer your question, yeah, I think Leon probably beats Masvidal's ass and gets that revenge for the three-piece Minnesota. He'll probably serve up a say like a 5-piece and a nugget or something. I don't know.
Not bad. We'll take it.
I think also the thing that's the big if here, and the person who has the biggest say in all of this right now is Gilbert Burns, because once again it feels like he's going into a big time matchup, and he's like, first of all, he's a pretty big favorite on the odds, but he could also put himself right back in the mix. This matchup between Burns and Masvidal coming up, does Masvidal even get past Gilbert?
Man, that I don't think so. I think Gilbert probably beats Jorge Masvidal. Although, man, I said after the Colby Covington fight that I would never believe Jorge Masvidal's pre-fight antics, because he sold me. He sold me that he could beat Colby Covington, and I bought it. I was all in, and then he went out there and just had a horrible performance. So now him saying that he's taking the time, he's back in, like his mind's right, and now he's saying he's going to beat Gilbert Burns. I'm like, man, I've heard this before. But I think Gilbert Burns is just on a whole nother level right now, and I think he probably goes out and probably submits Jorge Masvidal.
Having a lot of fun chopping it up with Alex here. Alex Behunin from MMA Mania joining us here, tapped out on the BetQL network. So I saw the odds for the rematch between Michelle Pereira and obviously the style bender, and I thought, well, I think I know what these are going to look like before they come out, right? Like anytime one guy dominates another dude, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and I say dominate, knocked out, whatever you want to call it, different sports, whatever, and then I see that Izzy's still favored in this fight. It just kind of blows my mind. Were you surprised to see that line come out like that?
Not really, just because of the fact that Israel Adesanya was winning that fight until he wasn't, right? And people always say like, well, yeah, he still lost, right? And yeah, he's lost to Alex 3 times, but in those 3 losses, he was beating Alex Pereira until he didn't, right? So, you can kind of plug and pull in that and with the analysis, but I just think that I don't know. It's like, is this matchup just, does Alex have Izzy's number, right? Like that's what we're gonna figure out in 2 weeks. Like, is this one of those matchups where the other guy just has his number no matter what? We've seen it throughout history, but I don't, and I don't know the answer to that, man. I would think Israel gets his belt back, but Alex Pereira is a scary, scary, scary dude, and who knows how much more confidence he has, how much he learned from that 3rd fight between them, how much he's downloaded Izzy. Like it's a very interesting fight, man. And but as of right now, as of 4:30 my time, I'm picking Israel Adesanya to win.
Bringing it into tonight, Alex, we got a great main event between Corey Sandhagen and Chito Vera. This division is stacked. What are your thoughts on tonight? I mean, the ways it could go, what the ramifications should be. What just give me your best stuff on tonight's matchup.
Man, it's definitely the best fight of the night. It's very intriguing. I love the bantamweight division. I think it's the best division in all of mixed martial arts. I think what it comes down to is kind of, I think the storyline is just, Cheeto starts late. He's a notorious slow starter, and Corey gets going, man. So, and Corey's never really been finished by punches. He's only been finished by the champion Aljamain Sterling, right? So, does 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 Marlon Cheeto Vera have enough power to knock out Corey Sandhagen? That's the question that we all want to know, because I don't know if he'll be able to beat Corey Sandhagen on the cards. I don't know if he's able to win a decision tonight. So man, it's so fascinating, and it's a big fight for both of them, because the winner of this fight could easily be the number one contender or easily get that money fight with Sean O'Malley. Man, and who wouldn't want to see Cheeto versus O'Malley too? I mean, that's a fight that every MMA fan is dying to see. Corey Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley? Are you kidding me? Like, that is just a phenomenal matchup. So I've been kind of flip flopping all week, but I still think Corey Sandhagen wins unanimous decision, maybe even a split decision.
So then, Alex, not knowing, because I love this division too, so it's fun to play this game, not knowing who's going to fight for the belt next, or if Cheeto's going to fight O'Malley again, or if they're going to fight for the belt, or if Triple C is going to win it and then retire. And we have no idea what's going to happen with it. We don't even like Marab, and oh, by the way, Aljo's still the champion. Like, it's just crazy. If I gave you a $3 million and I said you can either say that you can put it down on O'Malley is going to be the champion one day, or he's not going to be the champion, what are you going to put your money on? Not my money. It's Brendan's. I don't have that kind of money.
I'm taking Brendan's money, and I'm putting $1 million on Sean O'Malley that he will be a UFC champion.
Do you think it's soon? Do you think it's next? Like, do you think it's just inevitable?
I think it is inevitable. And I think, yeah, I do like. I think Aljamain Sterling. I think I'm picking him to beat Henry Cejudo, and if he beats Henry Cejudo, I think he's going to go up to featherweight. So then that's going to leave the title vacant, and then winner of tonight versus Sean O'Malley for the vacant title, maybe in an International Fight Week, maybe a little bit later in the year. I mean, could you imagine Cheeto versus O'Malley too for the vacant bantamweight title? Like, that's just take my goddamn money. You know?
Hey, Alex, as we're doing this on the broadcast, I'm not sure if you have it on the corner of your eye or not, but they just announced that Donald Cowboy Cerrone is going to go into the Hall of Fame. So he's going to be part of this stacked class. So I say a pretty cool moment. They bring his kids there, all out there to surprise him. Goosey's inducing. I say Donald Cowboy Cerrone. What are the things that come to mind in a now Hall of Fame career?
Anywhere, anytime, any place, man. He was a UFC soldier, must watch television, first ballot Hall of Famer. He was somebody that I watched every single time he fought. I watched him come up through the WEC into the UFC. He never won a title, but in this sport, you don't need to win a title to become a legend, man. Like, that guy's a legend to me, and I'm so glad he's going to the UFC, because he deserves it, man. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes, and yeah, man, he's awesome.
We got to do this again sometime, man. Alex Behunin from MMA Mania. Great stuff, man. Appreciate your insight. Let's do it again soon, man. We had a lot of fun with you.
Anytime you need me, I'm here. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
BT, now that you asked me, but my answer would be all of his accolades. Like, he's top 5 in wins. He's top 5 in fights. He's top 5 in finishes. He's number 1, at least at the time. I believe now he's number 2 when it comes to bonuses. He's got the most head kick finishes. Like, Donald, and that's just in the UFC, right? And Alex was talking about what he did before. Yeah, he wasn't a champion at the highest level. He fought for the belt a couple of times, but he was that dude. I mean, he was, I would say, as popular as any champion at the time for like a 5 or 6 year period.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I think the thing that I always want people to remember is, like, you know, don't throw dirt on these guys' career because it ends poorly. Like Donald Cerrone he wants about gangsters, like as Alex said, would take fights on short notice no matter what to save cards, boost a card, whatever. And yeah, maybe not ever won the UFC title, but he was the ultimate UFC's people's champ.
It did end poorly, though. I mean, 1-6 in your last 7 fights.
I
just point that out. I'm just saying. Congratulations to Donald Cerrone. Coming up next, more fight talk. You're locked into the BetQL network.